Okay, it is 3:15, and we have a quorum.
We do.
I'd like to call the regularly scheduled meeting, Community Preservation Committee, to order Tuesday, August 21. There are 5 members present, constituting the quorum, together with the secretary. And we have an agenda. I would like to just make one change to the agenda, Diane. I would like to move item H to the end in item 2, St. Paul's Church. I want to take that out of the order that it's in and put it after O, because I need to recuse myself for that particular one, okay?
Okay.
So with that change, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The minutes of July 17th have been previously circulated, and there's a copy in front of you. If there are no corrections or additions, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right. We have a guest. Bob Williams has been asked to come and just talk to us a bit about the project that we have funded relative to the ponds. Bob?
Thank you, Jim. I just really wanted to come and thank CPC for the investment we made in the ponds 3 years ago. I never heard of CPC, and then I called Ken and I said, you know, we're trying to restore the ponds. Could we work with you all? And he suggested that we apply. Never dawned on me that the project that CPC started would really be the seed project to do a phragmite mitigation for the entire island. We started, as you may recall, with a little pilot project north of the Massasoit Bridge, which sort of proved that we could do it in a half an acre. But White Goose Cove was really the first major project with a lot of supporters and a lot of people that were a little skeptical about it. We're now in our 3rd year. This is a picture of the Nantucket Land Trust public landing when we started, with 12-foot tall plants that had been there for over 50 years.
Ages and ages. I said they had been there for ages
For
and
ages,
ages. I was
yeah.
on one of the first pond
Oh, really?
things, did Sacriston Pond.
Okay. Because back in the 50s and 60s, you know, the town took equipment in and got it out.
Yeah, chains. They used chains.
Yeah, and then when the Wetlands Acts came in and the regulatory bodies got so
Went to
serious, it
contrast.
became very difficult. So, but that project went well, and then, much to my surprise, the idea that you could do this has sort of spread. We've now done the entire west side of Long Pond, south of Massasoit Bridge. A group has organized to now do the north side of Long Pond, north of Massasoit Bridge, a big 6-acre piece that we're going to do next week. Biggest project yet.
What kind of machine, are you still having that big ugly machine?
The
that goes
Marshmaster.
under-
Yeah. We have a harvester, which is a lawnmower on pontoons that does in the water, and then we have a Marshmaster, which is an amphibious with a conning tower. And we do a 3% solution of glyphosate with a special surfactant that we use that seems to have worked out pretty well. So we'll have done the entire west side of Long Pond. These are all, by the way, 5-year campaigns. These aren't just go and go. I mean, this you have to stay at probably for 10 years, to be honest with you. And we've got commitments from Nantucket Residents Association and Nantucket Conservation Association to continue the monitoring funding. If my plane crashes, you know, you have groups that are willing to step in and make sure that this stays the case, because these are tough invasive plants, boy, and they send rhizomes out 30 feet and they emit toxins that kills everything else.
Right.
You get this huge monoculture, and
Welcome.
What about, are you going up the little channels that sort of wander in and around out of the ponds?
to the extent we can, yeah.
Yeah, we used to, back when I first
There are 2
moved
pictures
here,
in
which was in '72, they used to do it on a regular basis, and that was good. Everything flowed nicely, and then
That's right.
it
right.
all came to a
It all came to a grinding
shrieking
halt.
halt.
Well, the regulations are very strict, and how you do it and what you do and when you do it, it takes some expertise, and most homeowners would not really be in a position to do it. So Long Pond is on its way. A group has financed the east coast of Hummock Pond, which we also do next week for the first time, 6 acres, all the way up to the Narrows from the spit. And then the land bank came to the table, and we're going to do all of my comment this year as well, start my comment for 5 years. So
All of it.
all of it. Yeah. Now, my comet had 9 strands of Phragmites 3 years ago, 16 last year, and 29 this year. So these little patches just grow like weeds, and it's a perfect time to get at them because it's not as bad as it was on Hummock and on Long Pond. The shallow part of the pond is called the littoral zone, L-I-T-T-O-R-I. The shallow part is where all the life in the pond takes place. It's where the fish reproduce, the minnows, it's where the birds eat the bugs fall in the water, and when these plants grow out into the pond, they effectively strangle much of the ecology of the pond systems. So there is a transition period. This is a look at what it looks like after the first year, where you've got these big root balls that are still out there. And it does take, after 50 or 60 years of growth, 3 or 4 years to turn the corner and get to a point where you're actually mitigating the invasive plants and beginning to get the regrowth of native vegetation.
Which pond is this?
That pond is Long Pond.
That's
That is looking south from Massasoit Bridge.
right. That's
Yeah,
same bunch of houses. That's remarkable. That's a remarkable job.
it's really something. And I never, when I got into the pond business, I didn't know what a Phragmite even was. I mean, I didn't even have it as an objective. But
That's
somehow the
long.
island has embraced this, and I just wanted to thank CPC because I think with your vision and your financing of White Goose Cove, we really made the case. And now, as you can see, that has grown to really affect the entire island. And it's a great legacy. 50 years from now, you won't have a Phragmite swamp in my comment. You'll have a clean pond. And the town is also now involved. Libby's gotten very involved. We have a council for the town, and so the ponds are very much on the radar of the town for the first time. And in my view, it's with great thanks to CPC.
Just a question on this, so out of my thing. When you say Phragmite, is that the name of the species, or does that cover a lot of different species?
It's a species, a
A
single species. yeah.
Phragmite is like
Phragmites
like
is-
bamboo or
Yeah, like you have cattails or
Yeah, yeah,
native, or you have scrub oak, or there are a lot of things native to Nantucket. But these plants, I was out with Sarah Boyce, the botanist, today at my comet, putting in, because you have to put stakes in, take pictures before and after. Plants are 16 feet high. I mean, you can't put in a boat, you can't see the water, you can't. And for the heron, the people at Long Pond tell me now the herons are back, cormorants are back. You know, you begin to get life back into the pond that hasn't been there before.
And some swans back. There used
Swans?
to be lots of swans in my pond.
Yeah, yeah.
And
They move around.
it would be nice to see them back again to the
We
extent.
think so too. We think so too.
So according to Ernie Steinhardt, there are in fact native Phragmites on the island, and you can see a stand of them on opposite Sackage Pond in the wetlands there, and they only grow to about 3 feet, so they don't, for instance, compete with the rushes and the other. So the one that Bob is talking about are an invasive Phragmites
Right.
that is just playing havoc with the ecosystem. But I would say it was your vision, Bob, and we're thankful to help, speaking for myself.
That's nice of you to say. I just had a boat, I couldn't use it. I mean, that was, to be honest with you. And
Can't get there from here.
Can't get there from here. So we thought an island-wide idea would have some weight. And when we got
And we struggled through the first time.
I remember
Because we had a problem with respect to the chemicals we were using.
Sure.
And we couldn't get, there wasn't the appropriate approvals for them.
That's
And
right.
so we said, please do the research and come back. And you did.
Yeah.
And when you came back, we were then able to fund it. So
That's right. But you were on the cutting edge, Ken. I mean, you guys were on solid ground, but you weren't. I mean, you were leaders, I think.
yeah, well, the thing was, is we wanted to figure out how to do it, but we had to make sure that we did it right,
Yeah.
so that we didn't, in fact, end up doing something bad, trying to do something good.
That's right. That's right. And I respected that, and I think that was the right thing to do. And for those that supported us, and I know you were a big supporter. I mean, I just think I just thought it would be fun to come back for a couple of minutes, 3 years later,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and say, okay, what, has this meant anything? Because Ken said what we want to do is fun stuff that then has its own legs and
Right.
continues to
Right.
to contribute to the community without our having to put the tin cup out all the time. This is a home run.
Are you coming back to us for this cycle?
Well, you know, I'd like to come back. I had a great relationship with Glenna and Neville and everybody. I mean, we just had a wonderful business relationship. We still have a little bit of the grant left. And I think, Linda, it depends on what the select board wants to do with these great ponds in terms of water quality, the seeded plants, the algae, particularly the filamentous algae. And we're going to be pretty much, after these 5-year campaigns, on the run with the frags. That part's going to be over. Now it's a matter of in water. I think we might test aluminum sulfate in head of hummock. That's a $77,000.
Is the algae the major continuing problem?
Yeah, because you've got all that phosphorus and nitrogen coming into the
And
ponds.
is there as readily identifiable a solution as
Yeah.
there was with the spray?
Aluminum sulfate, yeah. I mean, alum takes the phosphorus right out of the water, takes the food out, and the algae's gone. Now, of course, when the algae goes away, the sunlight comes down, the seeded plants are worse. So you have to think about what you're doing, and you have to do it very carefully. What we're actually, now that we talk about it for a minute, in a very serious discussion about dredging my comet pond, dredging the silt out of the bottom of that pond.
Remember the turtles that are there, not the snapping turtles, but the red-eared
The water turtles.
turtles. When I was a mailman, I used to go down there every day. This time of the year, I used to spend half my trip going down, picking up little turtles and heading them back
Heading it back to the water.
to the water.
Yeah.
There were snapping turtles, but I dragged them. I had a stick that I used, and I would drag them back.
Uh-huh.
But the little ones, I think that's the only pond that they are in.
There's hundreds of them in that pond.
Yeah,
Hundreds.
I don't
But-
remember them being anywhere else.
I don't remember seeing them anywhere.
We have snappers in hummock.
Yeah,
There's also
snappers are all
snappers
around.
But in my comet,
By
you have these little
comment, I
water
think the
turtles.
little ones are just there.
Yeah.
I think they're also in where the Kennedy corner there on Pulpus Road.
Oh, the swamp.
Yeah, there are turtles there. Small
Well,
ones.
if we dredged my comet, it would restore it completely. I mean, you wouldn't have to do aluminum sulfate, you wouldn't have to do algicide or anything else. It would really take, when we did a 604B, we had a federal grant, all of the nutrients in the ponds are already in the ponds from the bottom. I mean, they still come in from groundwater, and you need mitigation in terms of groundwater, but most of the food that is turning the ponds into swamps and eutrophying it on an accelerated basis is already in there. It's the only pond we could afford to do it, the others are too big. I have $1.5 million privately donated at the moment in principle. I think the land bank would give me $1 million if I went to them. We talked about it with them a lot, and I think CPC might be a partner in that project if the town decides they really want to come to Concom and think through. 7 regulatory agencies would have a fingerprint on that project. I mean, this would go on for another 5 years.
Yeah, just keep in mind our deadline for this go around is Friday the 7th.
Yes.
This would be next year. we would
Next year,
come.
yeah.
Next year we would come. I got to get the town and the, where they want to do it.
Town on site.
Town would have to do the
Yeah.
come to Concom first and talk about it, and then we'd go to the, we'd hire probably Ken Wagner or somebody to go around to all these DEP and EPA and the Army engineers and NHSP. I mean, there's all these organizations related to the beach and to the pond. But that pond you could swim in when we're done with that. I mean, it would be perfect. And then you'd have the frags gone, the water would be clean, it would be a nice clean pond. So anyway, thanks to CPC.
Question for you, how does this play on a bigger stage? I mean, it's such a great story. Has DEP actually thought about doing things this way in other areas as opposed to just Nantucket?
Well, I've been in, it's a good question, Tim. I've been invited to speak. I haven't been able to do it, but the various conservation organizations that look to do this kind of work think that the private-public model that we've gotten with butter support plus town support plus land bank plus CPC is a good model. And a lot of people just don't know how to do the politics of that. You know, they know about conservation, they know about the science, but they don't know how to raise the money and how to get community support for it.
But I'm more interested in the chemical approach. like how you've done it with eradicating the Phragmites.
Right.
That's been more with chemicals and it takes money, of course.
Herbicide, yeah.
Herbicide.
Yeah.
How do they feel on a broader stage about using herbicides across the Commonwealth?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I think...
Because it's such a great story.
Yeah, it is a good story, and I also think that that chemical can be abused pretty easily, and it's the most recent Monsanto court case makes that case, where out in California, they have these immigrant workers that are 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, just instead of cutting down trees and burning, they just poison everything, and these guys get sick. I mean,
$450 million decision.
yeah,
Monsanto.
okay. I mean, and I think Monsanto is guilty of it. I mean, I think they, you're supposed to follow the label and all that kind of stuff, but if you abuse it, it's like alcohol or anything else. I mean, you can really get in trouble. So I think the use of it by the label, and I think Concom was very thoughtful in its approvals in terms of the wind speed and drift and the label and the percentage, and we talked about droplet size. I mean, they really went through from A to Z on the thing. So I think we have a very good, we need an on-island applicator rather than me bringing these guys over from Springfield. That would be helpful to have somebody. But the machinery is big machinery, so, you can't do the scale that we have by hand. You have to do it with these conning towers. But I don't think it would have happened if we hadn't done Wiggins Cove. I don't think we would have had the opportunity to show that we could make a dent.
And the swans are back in White Goose Cove now.
Are they?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. When they dug my Comet Pond up to the road, I think, didn't Miles Reese do it?
Well, he might have, because he owned all the property on the other side.
Right, he owns all that property. I think he went down because you could see where he dug, there wasn't any water yet. The water stopped back here. And then there was the whole tongue that goes up. And it was, I saw it one day, you could see the dirt, there wasn't any water, and 2 days later, it was full all the way up.
Yeah.
So, and then it goes over to the turtle pool on the other side.
That's right. Well, the watershed goes all the way to Hutchins, 33 to 1.
Right.
It's a huge watershed.
Yes,
And it's one of the most challenged ponds because of that, because it's got all that runoff from the high school and this, all these pavements that have gone in and so on.
And from the valley on the other side of
That's right.
Surfside Road, all the way up that valley.
That's right. So the ponds are fragile, and they need to be part of the plan for the town and everything. And now I think the town actually has come to the table. We have Roberto Santamaria and Rob McNeil and Jeff and Caitlin and Libby and Rita and I. And we really are, it's really become a municipal focus, and I think that's a huge win for the citizens and the taxpayers of the island.
Well, thank you for having the patience and the diligence and the
and I hope you
follow-through.
will
Well, my pleasure,
continue
Ken. Yeah, no, we're not going
come to
anywhere.
us.
Yeah, we hope your airplane doesn't go down for a while.
Oh, thank you. And Lynn, I would like to, if we have a good reason to make the deadline next year, maybe come back and be partners again,
Right.
because I think it's a great
Been very
partnership.
successful so far.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a good town project.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Public project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Public
Thank you
Thanks,
all.
Bob.
Oh,
Thank
thanks.
you.
My pleasure.
Okay. Next on the agenda are the fund requisition items. As I asked at the beginning, that we change the order and take St. Paul's out and do all the others except for St. Paul's. Because after you pass the motion to do all of those, I need to recuse myself so that Linda can take over the chair so that I am not present for the application consideration for St. Paul's. So I would entertain a motion for the requisitions under item 1A through G, and then I through O.
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. I would like to recuse myself at this point in time.
Okay, any comments about St. Paul's?
I've got a lot of questions about that. No, I'm only kidding.
No, you don't.
I'd like to move approval of St. Paul's.
Okay, second. Don, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We got the ratification.
Yeah, no, what you need to do is then turn the meeting back over to
Oh,
me.
you. Have it.
Okay. All right.
Yours.
The next part of the agenda is we have to go through this because of the fact that there has to be reflection in the minutes, particularly with respect to the church funds relative to, because I am a member of St. Paul's.
We got you.
Yeah.
We got you.
Right, the last month, two items came up that we hadn't anticipated at the time of the agenda. We approved them, but to be perfectly legal, we need to ratify the actions at this meeting. So I would entertain a motion for the ratification of the approvals of the two items shown under old business.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
With respect to the 2018 meeting locations, Glenna, we're going to be downstairs.
Yes.
Yeah. This room upstairs is going to be used for the entire year with respect to training for,
From here on in,
from here on.
from here on out, I guess I should say.
4:30.
Oh, they're only going to use it till 4:30. So
That's
they're
how I
just,
understand. Then the HDC is coming
and so
here.
they threw us out of here, but they're putting us downstairs.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's okay. So it'll be good downstairs.
Yeah.
So, okay, so everybody is aware of that, and you will, so we'll be coming to the same building, and then if you can't remember, you just look on the sign downstairs to see where the arrow says that we are.
We'll just keep looking till we find people we know.
Right. Okay, one of the things that we should have done last month, and we didn't do, my fault, is that we need to elect two officers. Currently, I am chair and Linda's vice chair, and we were elected for one-year terms. So I would open up the nominations for the chair of the
I'd
CPC.
like to nominate Ken.
I second.
I'd like to amend that motion. I'd like it to be in perpetuity.
Always causing trouble.
Are there any other nominations?
Evans, no.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, I would like to open up the floor for the nomination of vice chair.
I'd like to stay there.
I'd like to nominate Ian.
Other nominations?
I would like to nominate Linda.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
Well, I
Hearing none.
suppose we have to go out of the room then, right?
Well, no.
Okay.
What we can do is, I think, I'd like to give the people the opportunity to do a paper ballot, so that there is no
I think
sense.
that's a
of-
very good idea.
Yeah.
We should
So-
do more of that.
Unless you
Yeah.
want to wait on that one until we get everybody back here, because Barry's not here, Don's not here, there's an empty chair from somebody.
Well, the thing is that we were supposed to do this last month, so. Can you have some clean pieces of paper and cut them up so that we can just give everybody?
What's going on with the Parks and Rec? Do we have any idea what's happening?
Glenna, you want to bring us up to speed on what's happening with Park and Rec? Give me the plain paper. and
I
I'll
don't
cut it
have
up.
plain paper, I'm
Here,
gonna have to go out and get, you have some? Thanks for you. The last we heard was Libby had just appointed Jerry Adams and reappointed Blair Janelle to Park and Rec. But we still have not heard anything in terms of a CPC
Do you
rec.
have another one?
And I-
Now, is Cheryl still on Parks and Rec?
No, they did not
She's not.
renew her.
They did not.
They did not renew her. as of-
Well, it's not they, it's town manager did.
Oh, does she do that one as opposed to the selectmen? Because there's some she does and some the selectmen do.
Well, she,
Yeah, Ian, bring us up to speed, because you've researched this.
Yeah.
so Cheryl put in her application and didn't hear back from Libby. And so on July 17th, she wrote Libby or emailed Libby, and Libby immediately emailed back and said that she was waiting for some other candidates to apply, and then informed her that she wasn't going to be reappointed, which came as a complete surprise to all the selectmen when I've spoken to two selectmen. And it came as a surprise to me, and it came as a surprise to Ken, I believe.
It was a real surprise.
Because the selectmen have the right, actually, under the charter, to override Libby.
Well, the point is that.
Libby's
that
appointments.
The thing that I pointed out to Ian when he talked to me was that I was very surprised because of the fact that the Park and Rec is one of the few things that are actually specifically provided for
In the charter,
act,
in the state.
in the act creating the Community Preservation Committee.
Can't the Park and Rec pick their own member?
No.
Why not?
Well, no,
Well-
we're trying,
Well, the point
she
is
wasn't
that-
reappointed to the Parks and Rec.
Right.
Yeah, and once
Once
Park
they-
and-
once they're all-
once the
they can
members
pick
are
their
appointed, they can choose their own.
For
But the
us.
fact, for us, what the fact was is that she was not,
Or reappointed to Park and Rec?
reappointed to Park and
No,
Rec.
Oh,
I'm
And
shocked.
so-
She was very active in.
And so Matt Fee said to
Very
me
active.
specifically that if he had known that she wasn't going to be reappointed, he would have made a point of reappointing her, and that he's going to be bringing it up at this Wednesday's meeting to have it put on the agenda for the following Wednesday, whether or not to change the dynamics of to what extent the town manager is involved in appointing members to different committees. Right now, she has the authority to appoint 5 separate committees.
Commission on Disability. I
Is
didn't realize
one.
Park and Rec was one of them.
Yeah, well, and from my point of view, I think Cheryl was an absolute,
Absolutely.
She was a
She
very
was really
dynamic,
good and she has out.
She-
she had a passion.
And she loved the
Yeah.
Parks and Rec, and she loved what everything they stood for, and we were making a push to, maybe that's what it was. We were making a push to get it back funded and everything
There you
else.
go.
Maybe that's what did it.
So I would suggest, talking to any
That's
member
horrible.
of the select board that between now and Wednesday.
Right, I said I would. Today's Tuesday, we have to do it
Right.
tonight when we get home. We're
Right.
Well,
tomorrow.
they're putting it, they're voting to put it on for next week.
Well, they don't, Matt said that he would bring it up at the
Yeah.
end of this week's meeting, but I
Get
don't
it
think
onto
any of the
the
other
They can't vote on it if
members.
it isn't on the agenda.
Right,
Yeah,
so
they can
he's gonna
to
ask-
Put it on.
Put it on.
He's
yes.
going to ask for it the following week, but I don't think any of the other members are aware of it right now.
Well, they have the right under the charter of the ones that she appoints to override her appointments
There's
if they
actually,
don't agree with it.
according to Matt, there is a time limit, and the time limit was August 2nd.
Oh, boy.
And-
But they didn't even know.
Well, that's what I said. I said, well, since you didn't know about it, then surely
I mean,
the clock hasn't started.
Right, once you know the clock
Right.
starts.
So,
Oh, that's horrible.
but
There's more to this story, there's got to be.
No,
yeah.
Well, I think that's the push to get the Parks and Rec back. We haven't
Right.
been quiet about that.
But we are not her, and
Wow.
she is responsible for how we feel about it. There was something that Libby,
Right.
she did that Libby
Right.
didn't like.
Well, she
Right.
doesn't want the Parks and Rec back. She's the one who got rid of the budget. She's the one who got
Well,
rid of the
she gets
Parks
rid
and
of
Rec.
everything.
So there's some sort of a problem with that.
So the point is that I guess the message is that if you have a chance to talk to a select board person,
Right.
Yeah.
do it before tomorrow, and I'll call
Right.
Dawn.
Yeah.
Right?
And Matt said that, when I mentioned that you and I had spoke, he said there was no need for you to call Matt because he understood how you felt
Where we're
on the
coming
subject.
from.
So-
Yes, good.
I know,
Did they appoint somebody else?
Yes,
Yeah.
two different people.
Jerry Adams is great, but who's the other guy?
Amy Baxter apparently has been appointed.
What?
She's at the window downstairs. And
That's a conflict of interest, if there ever was one.
You think?
I don't understand how she could have been
Well,
appointed.
who did appoint to CP, to, under the Park and Rec?
Yeah, apparently Amy Baxter has been appointed by Libby to Park and Rec.
And Jerry Adams.
And Jerry Adams, and there's a third person. I don't have my email
Oh,
with me.
so
I forgot.
she's reappointing the whole,
Yeah.
Well, 3 out of
With-
5.
With,
Or,
Amy Baxter
yeah.
is new and someone else is new too. So.
I don't understand how Amy Baxter, who's in charge of doing the permits for the events, can be anywhere near being on the Parks and Rec, unless she's Libby's mole, and that's what's happened in the past.
that's all you have to know.
Shenanigans at the highest level.
But we're not stupid. We didn't just crawl out from under a rock where we can't see this is happening in front of our face. Goodness.
Well, it's just a shame that good people. I
Well,
mean,
that's the rub, isn't it? You
Yeah,
know,
and
she's
that's
obviously
committed
highly
and knowledgeable
competent.
and.
Yes.
They're always
and
bellyaching about getting new people
The
involved.
other thing too, is what really stunned me, is that she has spent her own money to go to
Yes, to
these
these things.
these
Yeah.
sessions all across the country
Yeah.
to learn about best practices for Parks and Recs in terms of what communities can do with respect to.
See.
She was down in New Orleans this year for it.
Right.
And
Uh,
equipment too, as she looked up equipment
Yeah.
to see which was the best
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing to get. That's, you don't often, how is that girl downstairs behind the window going to take the time?
Yeah.
Oh, she can't even get out of her own way.
So, well,
Okay, all right, so we have an issue with respect to people getting in touch with the select
Right.
board people that they're comfortable
yeah.
with.
That
All right,
tonight.
Okay.
I have tallied the votes, and Linda has been chosen as vice chair.
Oh, thank you very much.
The next item on the, and what we did was just showed everybody who is still the current members of the CPC and their terms. The next item
Are
is,
those terms correct though, Ken? There's nobody up in 2020. And there's a whole bunch of us up at the same time. They're all supposed, according to the act, they're all supposed to be staggered. I think the terms
I'm
are
on
wrong.
When HDC appoints me,
yeah,
is it just for 1 year or is it for
for
3?
three.
For 3.
So
Well, the
it
thing,
wants
the
to
thing
be,
they were
But I think
supposed,
some people are
we
filling
just need to
people's
double check
terms,
those.
maybe? You're filling somebody else's
We'll just
term?
double check those dates, okay?
Yeah, because these aren't
Because
right.
the two at large are right, because that
They're
never was done,
elected.
that was never done properly.
But
They
some
were-
of these guys
they were
in
supposed to
here
be
are
staggered as well.
2020.
well, I-
Really?
I think
Yeah,
mine
Some
is
of 19 and 2020.
But I think she came in
So-
at
Oh, no kidding.
the, at the middle of someone else's term.
Right, but you gotta, they don't go another 3 years
But
from that. They
go-
finish the
they
person's
finish the
term.
person's
Right.
term.
So at least 2 of these guys should be up in 2020.
Yeah.
So
That's a
Glenna,
problem.
my term with the Concom comes up in 2021.
Okay.
So,
my HDC is 2021 too.
Yeah, but that doesn't run the same as the CPC. It's whenever you're appointed from your appointing board.
I was appointed
You've been
last
for-
month.
Yesterday, I mean,
I was
yes,
appointed
last year.
last month. So actually, 2 weeks ago, I was appointed, so I assume
Then
it's
yours
for
isn't
3
right either.
years.
So we gotta check these all
Okay,
out.
we'll double check it. All right,
Because you'd be 218.
at the last meeting, we asked people to indicate which of the new programs they were interested in serving on, and that's what's reflected in item B, items 1 through 4. And no one seemed to be stepping up, 2 people for the same one. So I would entertain a motion to approve these project managers for those 4 new projects.
That's my motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. The last item on the agenda is the issue with respect to what we do with the projects that were Cheryl's. So what I'm proposing to do at this point in time is that I will review the applications that came in were hers at this point in time, and we wait until we find out what happens with respect to the new person coming on, and then make a determination.
I'll make that
And
motion.
then do we put our names in and say we'd like to do this or that, or be on the,
Well, let's hope that Cheryl ends up being reappointed.
Yeah.
I've spoken to her twice, and I found out by accident when I bumped into her about 10 days ago, and she absolutely would like to be back. She really enjoyed participating with the CPC, and she absolutely would like to be reappointed, so,
Yeah.
so, well, let's all hope we can
well,
make some
Make some
difference.
difference there. And then, and whatever then happens, once they're, we then will take a look at these projects and see who the best person is, because of the fact that a new person coming on has no experience within the CPC. And some of these projects have a reasonable amount of history that a number of us have been exposed to. So Linda's made a motion to allow me to review those in the interim until next meeting when we have an understanding as to what's happening. Is there a second? Is there any further discussion with respect to that? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I don't have anything else on the agenda. If there's any other business that anyone else would like to raise,
Just a
Maria.
question. We're going to meet September 18th. We usually take like a month to read everything over. Like, we get all the, well, wait, we get the stuff by September
7th.
7th.
She's got to organize it and everything else. and
I'm just
put
trying to, in
together.
my own brain, because then we're gonna set up all those meetings, know
Yep.
basically when we're gonna be meeting and deciding.
Well, what I'm
stuff.
gonna do is I'm gonna sit down with Glenna, take a look at the calendar in September and October, and have her circulate before our September meeting,
Okay.
potential dates for us to be able to get together. Because we want to be able to then, as quickly as possible, get the invitations out to the people. And we can't do that until we know which applications are coming in. Because as you know, we schedule a half an hour for somebody that's been here with us before, unless it's a completely different project on a totally different subject,
Right.
or an hour with somebody brand new. And then we also try to group them together in terms of the same types of projects, so that our brains are thinking about the same way as we're thinking about the kind of allocations that we're going to have to make down the road. So we will start to work on some potential dates that we'll have to be able to think about when we get together in September. And at that point in time, we'll have a chance to see how many applications we have and what the dollar requests are. Because unfortunately, the state didn't come through with any additional money. And so the amount of money that we had last year is going to be less.
Nothing came through from the state.
No, they had it in the bill, but it was only if the state made a profit, and the state didn't make a profit. That was after, and they never passed, there was a bill that was going to raise the fees which was going to be a significant funding mechanism, and the realtor groups killed that, okay? Because they said it was going to hurt their business in terms of people not wanting to buy and sell real estate.
You know,
So,
it's funny, but Charlie Baker's got an ad that plays every day on TV,
Yeah.
talking about the state having $1 billion
Oh.
surplus.
And he's the best-loved governor in the country
Yeah.
and all this stuff. Where did I ever hear that before?
But the $1 billion surplus, that's what irks me when it comes to
Yeah.
giving money to CPC for all the
so we
communities.
will get less than we got last year?
The likelihood is we will get less, because in fact, more of the communities have signed up. And so the amount of money that's available to be spread out now has to go to more communities,
Yeah.
right? We will still get the maximum that we can under the allocation formula, because we're a 3%er. But the fact is that it's going to be less. And so what we want to do is we want to encourage as many open space projects as we can, because that's where we have, I mean, we don't have unlimited money, but we have a lot of money. Yeah, somewhere around $750,000.
Right. Where it's important.
Sustainable's gonna come back with a grant
Yeah,
for open space. I don't know anybody else.
so,
Can I ask one question before, if anybody remembers, when we reviewed the Macy warehouse,
yeah.
did we just approve the roof and the window frames? Did we do anything about the front walk? Do you remember doing
No, we didn't.
anything on the,
Nothing on the front walk. That was done by the DPW.
well, the digging of it up was done by the DPW. However, the HDC did absolutely not approve what they have done. And I am trying to go back to what each,
Yeah, we did nothing.
we only did the
we
roof and the windows.
And some, I think, I wasn't even sure whether or not we did all the windows, but we did, the only thing we did major restoration work.
Was-
Nothing to do with the sidewalk in front.
Right, I remember talking about it, but it wasn't in our final, I couldn't find it in
It
our
was the
final.
shutters, wasn't it?
It was a
It
shutters,
was
yeah.
those bars.
Yeah,
Bars, I remember
They
talking
go
about
across
the
and
bars.
hold the
Yeah.
sides up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we talked about
Yeah,
those.
and she went and found, she found the historically why they were there,
Right.
and all of that stuff, so.
But they have screwed up the front walk so badly. And the DPW, which should not have done it without following the HDC rules, you know, they say they don't have the money to correct it, and yet it was absolutely not, oh, it's the roof, so it's
What
hard.
wall is it, Diana?
Not the wall, the
It's the-
floor.
Oh, they, the, the sidewalk and the
microstones.
curbing and all that
Yes,
jazz.
they were not supposed to remove, they could remove them to do what they had to do, but
Right.
they were supposed to leave them where they were.
Right,
And if they had to mound up a little bit to get into the building, they were supposed to mound that up with bricks. The mica stones were supposed to stay where they were, so
Okay.
that they followed the historic
original plan, okay.
front.
Right.
And they didn't, they picked them up, moved them all around, they looked terrible, terrible, terrible. Look next time you go
I
down.
will, I will. And everybody was happy about the bigness
Yeah, I won't
of
say
it,
anything, but after
if you're
election,
saying
you
that
have to eat those.
cosmetically, it doesn't surprise me.
No.
Okay, I'll take a look.
Move to adjourn.
It's a world of itself.
All in favor?
My two grandchildren work for